The fire was already burning when I arrived. It was one of those shallow metal fire pits my brother bought during one of his short-lived phases of backyard improvement. The flames snapped quietly while everyone stood around with plastic cups and paper plates. Someone had taped a small banner to the fence, "Happy Birthday." It was crooked. My nephew was running in circles around the yard, kicking gravel while the adults talked about work, neighbors, and other people's problems. I had brought him a small gift. Not for the birthday, mine, but because he'd been talking about model cars the last time I saw him. It wasn't expensive, just a small metal kit with tools and parts he could build himself. When I handed it to him, he looked confused. "Open it," my brother said from across the fire. The boy tore the paper off and stared at the box for a second. Then he looked up at his father. My brother gave a half-smile and shrugged. The kid turned toward the fire. At first I thought he was just walking closer to the light, but then he tossed the box straight into the flames. The cardboard caught immediately. Everyone froze for a second. Then the boy said it, loudly and confidently, the way kids repeat things they've heard many times before. "Dad said you're just a failure who deserves nothing." There was a moment where someone could have corrected him. My brother didn't. He took a sip from his drink. A couple of my cousins laughed, not loudly, just the awkward laugh people use when they want the moment to pass. My mother covered her mouth for a second, smiling like it was a joke that had gone slightly too far. The gift box folded into itself as the fire burned through the edges. No one told the kid to apologize. No one told my brother to stop him. That was the moment something settled inside me. Not anger. Something quieter. Clarity. I watched the flames for another few seconds. Then I set my cup down on the edge of the patio and walked out through the side gate. No speech, no confrontation. Just leaving. The drive home was quiet. I didn't play music. I didn't call anyone. It wasn't the kids' fault. Children repeat the language they hear. Which meant the real conversation had been happening long before that night. Probably for years. I got home, made some tea, and sat on the couch. Around 1:30 my phone buzzed. The family group chat. My brother had written a long message. Apparently my leaving the party had been disrespectful. Apparently I had embarrassed the family. And apparently, because of that, they had decided something. "You're officially cut out of everything." A few relatives added thumbs up reactions. Someone wrote, "Probably for the best." I stared at the message for a while. Then I typed one line. "Good. Check whose name owns the house you live in." I hit send and put the phone face down on the table. It started vibrating less than a minute later. First my brother. Then my mom. Then my aunt. Then cousins. Calls stacked on top of each other, so quickly the screen barely had time to stop lighting up. I didn't answer. By midnight the call log showed 74 missed calls. The house my family lived in had been in trouble about 6 years earlier, foreclosure trouble. My brother had lost his job. My mom's savings were already gone after my dad passed away. They had been about 2 weeks from losing the place. No one else in the family had stepped in. I had. Quietly. I bought the property through a legal trust to stop the foreclosure, and allowed them to continue living there. No rent. No public explanation. Just paperwork and a private agreement with the bank. My name was on every document. But I never made a big deal about it. Family, I thought, at least back then. The next morning I finally listened to the voicemail messages. My brother's first one sounded angry. "Call me back right now. What the hell are you talking about?" The second sounded different. More careful. "Look, if this is some kind of misunderstanding." My mother's message was quieter. "You should have told us." That one made me pause. Because technically I had. 6 years earlier, but nobody had really listened. I called my attorney that afternoon. We went over the paperwork again. Everything was clear. Legally sound. "You have a few options," he said calmly. "Eviction is possible, but not necessary." I told him I wasn't interested in that. Not immediately, anyway. What I wanted was something simpler. Boundaries. 2. Later that evening I finally answered one of the calls. My brother. He sounded exhausted. You actually own the house? Yes. Silence. Then, quieter. Why didn't you ever say anything? I thought about the fire, about the kid repeating words he'd heard from his father. I didn't think it mattered, I said. More silence. The arrangement changed after that. The house stayed in place. No sudden eviction, but the legal structure became formal. Lease agreements, maintenance responsibilities, actual paperwork, family expectations replaced with ordinary contracts. It made things clearer. 2. I haven't been back to another birthday gathering since. My nephew still sends me pictures of the model cars he builds now. His father never mentioned the fire again, and my mother speaks more carefully when we talk. Not warmer, just careful. Sometimes dignity doesn't arrive through confrontation. Sometimes it shows up quietly, long after people decided you didn't have any.